Today I fucked up by buying my wife a sex book. Our sex life has been pretty boring for the 3 years we've been married. We are both on our second marriage. I'm a widower and she's divorced. My late wife was very adventurous and her first husband was vanilla missionary or nothing. Over lunch yesterday we talked about sex and how it's become mundane, with her admitting that she's only really ever felt comfortable with ordinary sex because that's all she's known. I suggested we get a book for her to read to get an idea of what she might like to try. So we went into town to the bookshop and bought a book which she spent the next 3 hours reading in the bath. Come bedtime, 9 p.m. unusually, I'm dragged to bed and set upon in very pleasurable way until about an hour in I feel fingers caressing my anus and perineum. Then a finger followed and to my surprise the one and only vibrator, a small one, we have was pushed inside of me. Pleasure was had until my wife gasped and started to sound worried. Behind me I felt a lot of fumbling, wife was sounding worried then just stopped and said sorry. I asked what had happened, the vibe had slipped, been pushed a little too far and had gone all the way in. For the next hour we tried to excrete the thing and finally give up, still buzzing inside. As we'd both had a drink, a taxi was booked and a trip to A&E was made. It took only a few minutes with a speculum, lube and forceps to remove the then quiet vibe from me, and after promising to be more careful in future we returned home. This morning I skipped my normal bike ride and have sat gingerly at my desk. I've just wandered in and wondered if I'd like to get a bigger vibe so it doesn't get stuck. I don't know what I've awakened. TLDR, bought wife a sex book and ended up in A&E with vibe stuck in my anus. Update. Thank you all. I once read the autobiography of an A&E doctor, and one day this man comes in. When asked what the trouble is, he starts to go on about how he was sitting naked on his sofa, his phone rang and he sort of slipped. Sir, is there a phone up your rectum? There was, and he ended up needing surgery. A bigger vibe isn't the answer, unless you just want a bigger one. You need something with a flared base that's meant to avoid exactly what happened to you. You should never insert anything into the rectum that doesn't have a flared base. There are tons of toys marketed for anal play. You and your wife can fire up Google and find something that works for you. Have fun. Flared base or some sort of built-in retrieval method. Anal beads just have a pull cord. Just make sure she knows you aren't a lawnmower. Reminds me of a joke. You get to the doctor and he says $1,000 to remove it. The funny part is that $1,000 is cheap for a visit like that to a doctor in the USA. Isn't there a rule or something about things that go up your butt having strings on them for that very reason? Ha ha ha. Strings or a base. Lol. Good story. For future reference, sex toys with a flared base exist for this exact purpose. You can get them in lots of different sizes, vibrating and non-vibrating, and they're not expensive. Today I fucked up by getting good at a game to impress a guy I had a crush on. Obligatory, this happened over 5 years ago. I just saw a comment that reminded me of what happened, so here we go. I used to play an MMO with a bunch of people I knew IRL. Out of all of them, I was the most interested in PvP but sucked at it. One day a new guy shows up. He used to play, but stopped for a few years. Everyone starts talking about how he was basically a legend, a god at 1v1s, was one of the former top players in the game, was so inhumanly good he got mistaken for a bot, etc. I immediately developed an awkward crush on him. He heard I was into PvP and challenged me to a 1v1 where he promptly kicked my ass. Then he spent a lot of time condescendingly giving me tips on how to improve and said he would show me the ropes. Being a dork with a crush, I was so grateful for any attention he gave me. His idea of teaching me was basically beating me over and over again. After a few days of this, he got bored and stopped paying attention to me. I was embarrassed that I was so bad and kept losing, so I thought if I could impress him, he would spend time in game with me again. I spent a stupid amount of time practicing on the side and researching. I'm talking like 6 hours on weekdays and 10 plus on weekends. I literally lost weight because I stopped snacking on the side and ate the minimum amount at meal times. So after like 10 months of non-stop playing, I improved a stupid crazy amount. Managed to jokingly painstakingly convince him to duel and I beat him. He thought it was a fluke and demanded a rematch. So we played again and I beat him again. He got so mad he changed his build to exactly counter mine, and he beat me. I was so happy because I thought he was into it, so I changed my build to counter his and beat him. And it turned into this stupid back and forth. I was having the time of my life. I thought I was showing off my improvement to a guy I liked. I learned theory crafting, I learned how to play properly, etc etc. Meanwhile he was fucking raging his head off on his side of the screen. After a lot of back and forth killing each other in turns, he finally says he's done and logs off. I had no idea what happened and figured real life things was going on. Anyways, he didn't log back on for a while and I heard from our mutual friend that he quit the game. He claimed he only came back temporarily from a break and needed to focus on real life job stuff or something. I did not connect that with beating him. I just thought the timing was bad and I was sad I wouldn't be able to see him around anymore. He never logged back on again. A few months later we had another IRL hangout and he basically ignored me. Then made a few pointed comments about how he didn't like girls who were as into gaming as he was. And that girls who liked games too much were basically guys and he wasn't into guys. And that's when I finally realized he was mad I beat him. And he literally never returned to play again. And after a few more years, I quit gaming. And funnily enough, I heard from our mutual friend again that that's when he decided to start playing again. Too long didn't read, I got good at a game to impress a guy I liked, beat him, and turns out he didn't like girls who were into gaming and also quit the game. Fuck, I wrote this on a whim before going to sleep. To clarify, he wasn't actually that good. It's like how everyone knows that one guy who's super good at Smash, but then goes to a local tournament and gets wrecked by actual pros. He was the best out of our little circle of friends, but wasn't actually top tier in the game. And at the end of that day, I wasn't even considered close to top tier either. Also dug up my old Reddit account because I knew a bunch of people were going to call me fake. Feel free to peruse my post history to confirm my level of obsession. It's a bit sad. I definitely had an unhealthy interest/addiction. I ended up quitting cold turkey and haven't logged back on in years. Sorry to all my old teammates, I literally left them with a see you next time and vanished off the face of the planet. Edit 2, I didn't quit the game because of him. I played for several more years after and got back into PvP and shot up the ranks because I went from a keyboard turning skill clicker into someone who could actually play. Did weekly tournaments for a bit, got good enough to see the occasional pro players in my queue and formed a little team with other people around my level. The game itself went through a ton of bad balance patches and a ton of people left. I ultimately left because the gamma mode was dying and I realized it was making me depressed and more angry and toxic the more I played. Too long didn't read, Op dodged a bullet carrot, which infuriated her crush because he'd min-maxed all his skill points into firearms. Sounds like it wasn't that he didn't like girls who were into gaming, it was more that he was a butthurt baby who didn't like being beaten by a girl. If he went back to the game after you left then he clearly had issues and you dodged a bullet by not dating him. This isn't a fuck up, this is kick-ass. You made a toxic player bully himself into giving up something he was too proud to lose at. You wanted to improve at something and hit top tier at it. You didn't date the dickhead. I'm willing to bet that everyone knows why he really quit. I guess the actual fuck up was I became unhealthily obsessed with the game to the point it became a turn off. If I had continued being a regular casual player, we'd probably both still be playing. I hinted at it, but my relationship with the game was not exactly healthy. Of course, with hindsight it was probably better that I found out what he was really like than kept crushing on him. Like the other guy said, dude sounds like a twat. Good job you didn't date him as he was probably really misogynistic and wouldn't have treated you equally. Literally me while reading your story Op, I spent a stupid amount of time practicing on the side and researching. Nice. That's a good way to get better at the game. I'm talking like 6 hours on weekdays and 10 plus on weekends. Oh, shit, taking this thing serious then. Well, keep having fun. I literally lost weight because I stopped snacking on the side and ate the minimum amount at meal times. I think you should relax there a bit, but, hey, it's probably only been a couple weeks. So after like 10 months of non-stop playing, I improved a stupid crazy amount. What the fuck? That's fucking dedication, borderline addiction. Today I fucked up by telling my bald wife that I don't find bald women attractive. Posted this on Twitter, but someone said that it's today I fucked up material. Also, they removed my post, but anyway. One of my wife's friends has cancer. She's been undergoing chemotherapy and as a result has lost all of her hair. Yesterday my wife was with her and one other friend. They decided that they'd shave off all their hair to support their friend and cheer her up. And they did. It's a great gesture and all, but I wasn't aware of this. I was working on my laptop on the bed when my wife comes up and asks me if I find bald women attractive. I wasn't looking at her and hadn't seen that she was bald, so I say, nope, not my type, not attracted at all. Why? Then I look up and, lo and behold, my wife was bald. Not a single hair on her head. I was so shocked my face could have probably become a viral meme. She says that I don't find her attractive now and starts crying. I try to salvage the situation by telling her that I don't find other bald women attractive, but she looked hot without hair. She told me I was lying. I tell her that it's just hair and will grow back. This was apparently not a good thing to say as she started crying again. My mom, who's been living with us, told me I'm an ass for making her cry. Wife slept in a different room. She's been also looking in the mirror quite often. I've tried telling her that I don't care about the hair and she did a great thing supporting her friend, but she says that I've given her a small insecurity issue for the time being. Too long didn't read. Wife asks me if I find bald women attractive. I say no without looking. When I look up, wife was bald. Edit. Wow, this blew up. And some of y'all are asking, she's not generally this emotional, just that her friend probably won't survive the cancer and has limited time. That's been messing up with her state of mind lately. Edit 2. Everyone wants me to shave my head. Not happening. Nope. Quite like my head full of hair. As someone who has survived cancer, I wouldn't ever want my friends to shave their hair just for support. Charity fundraising is different. Nice gesture aside, she seems to not have been 100% in on the hair shaving and perhaps needed your validation after regret sunk in. That stuff doesn't really matter now though. Time to be supportive and maybe make some big gesture yourself to let her know you are attracted to and love her regardless of looks. Wounds heal, hair regrows, but emotional scars will remain forever if not tended. Good luck. I was working in a cancer unit and overheard a mom on the phone talking about how her teenaged son's last girlfriend surprised him by shaving her head to show her support while he was going through chemo. Apparently he was like, I didn't ask you to do that though, and absolutely hated the look. He later dumped her and was wondering to his mom why he couldn't just find someone normal to date. Ouch. She 100% regrets her decision, hence the reaction. I mean, she could have very easily felt pressured by the other friends that also shaved their heads. If my best friend had lost her hair and 3 of my girlfriends went bald to support her, I'd kind of feel like an ass for not doing it too. If you could go back in time, and maybe if anyone else ever finds themselves in this situation, I think the best response after saying that upon looking up would be, I stand corrected. She walked into this, literally and figuratively. That is a huge move to spring on someone. So from now on, anytime she asks you anything, no matter how simple or uncontroversial it seems, you have to answer with "That's an interesting question." Why do you ask her, "What do you want for dinner?" That's an interesting question. Well, I made my mom's famous meatloaf recipe. Really? That's exactly what I wanted. You're the best. I know. But if you'd said fried chicken, the meatloaf would have gone in the trash and you'd be making yourself a ham sandwich and taking care of that other thing on your own for the rest of the week. Smash later? Interesting question.